Yes, let's start. Good evening, everybody. I'm going to open us with prayer. I would invite you to use the chat function in Zoom. And if there's a prayer request that you have, you can put it there. We'll be praying throughout the meeting. And there's a lot to pray for, and there's a lot to give thanks for. I'm mindful that today the church commemorates three bishops who were martyred and who were martyred for believing in reform and for working for reform, and without whose work we probably wouldn't be here. They were um, reformers who really brought us our identity as Anglicans. Latimer, Ridley, and Cranmer. So for those of you who grew up with the 28 prayer book or still worship in Rite One, the great prayer of humble access, if you think it's great, that is one of many things that Archbishop Cranmer wrote. But all three of them were martyred during the reign of Queen Mary. And I raise this particularly not only because we commemorate them today, but also because you may have seen the news that GAFCON, the group of so-called global Anglicans, announced earlier today that they are leaving the Anglican Communion. And in fact, what they said is that they are the Anglican Communion, and they reject the current Archbishop of Canterbury designate. So it's a broken moment, and it's also not a surprising moment. And so, in addition to all of the things that we have on our hearts, in our own lives, in our own church, in our own nation, we pray for the church throughout the world. We pray for the people who identify as global Anglicans. We pray for the Anglican Communion, for soon to be Archbishop Sarah, and we pray for this meeting tonight. The Lord be with you. Gracious God, we pray for your holy Catholic Church. Fill it with all truth, in all truth, with all peace. Where it is corrupt, purify it. Where it is in error, direct it. Where in anything it is amiss, reform it. Where it is right, strengthen it. Where it is in want, provide for it. Where it is divided, reunite it. For the sake of Jesus Christ, your Son, our Savior. Amen.
Amen.
Welcome to this pre-convention meeting. I'm going to turn things over now to Sherry Quint, who is the Director of Finance.
Welcome, everyone. I'm Sherry Quint. I'm the Finance Director. And I'm just going to share my screen. So this budget reflects our continued commitment to faithful stewardship while supporting the ministries of our congregations, summer chapels, Camp Bishopswood, other diocesan entities such as St. Elizabeth's Essentials Pantry, Bridging the Gap, and many others across Maine. We have achieved a balanced budget that provides Bishop Brown with the resources needed to facilitate the mission and ministry of the church in Maine. This includes funding for staff, consultants, and volunteers who serve our diocese with dedication and excellence and help facilitate the kinds of ministries our congregations feel called to do. So hopefully most of you have been able to look over the detailed budget on the website. This slide shows a summary of the major categories of income and expenses for the 2026 budget. And I will put in a little plug here for Brother Jay Boggs from Cornerstone Financial, who did an immense amount of work on this with me, and the finance committee as well. They were amazing for me. One of the most significant aspects of this budget is our 51% increase in strategic congregational support, adding $50,000 to directly assist our parishes. This substantial investment demonstrates our commitment to strengthening congregational vitality across the diocese. I'm also pleased to report that we have held staffing and benefit costs steady from the previous year, even while incorporating new positions. This reflects our commitment to operational efficiency while ensuring we have the personnel needed to serve our mission. Our income structure remains stable and diversified. Assessments from congregations continue to provide the foundation of revenue at 68%, with investment distributions from the trustees of diocesan funds contributing 30% and other sources making up the remaining 2%. Regarding assessments, we have maintained levels at approximately last year's rates. Assessment amounts are calculated based on each congregation's 2024 normal operating income using the formula of 5% of the first $10,000 plus 15% of the balance. Our trustee investment income is calculated conservatively at 4.75 for both fixed and equity investments, ensuring sustainable long-term support. And the 4.75 for the fixed is an increase over last year, where we were at 2%. Our 2026 budget allocates resources thoughtfully across our mission priorities. Compensation and benefits account for 55% of expenditures, reflecting our investment in qualified staff. Canonical responsibilities represent 16%, ensuring we meet our obligations to the Episcopal Church and our province. Congregations and clergy support receives 11%. General and administrative costs are held to 10%. Faith formation programs receive 5%, and justice and outreach initiatives account for 3%. This budget supports robust programming across all areas of diocesan life. Ministry initiatives. We remain committed to justice and outreach through our support of the Maine Council of Churches, the Commission on Justice and its councils addressing racial justice and climate justice, the Episcopal Peace Fellowship, the Committee on Indian Relations, Mission Center grant reserves, and both domestic and international poverty grants. In faith formation, we continue funding youth ministry programs and events, Camp Bishopswood, the Christian Education Collaborative, adult formation, education for ministry, and clergy formation. Our congregation and clergy support includes transition ministry, the ordination process for both deacons and priests, the Commission on Ministry, new initiative grants, and the enhanced strategic congregational support that I mentioned earlier. We fulfill our canonical responsibilities through assessments to the Episcopal Church and Provincial Synod, travel and meeting expenses for General Convention and the Triennial Episcopal Youth Event, Diocesan Council and Standing Committee meetings, as well as our annual diocesan audit. So let's take another quick look at the slide showing the allocation of our resources across our mission priorities, as I just discussed. I'd like to draw your attention to how our staff compensation is allocated across our various ministry areas. While the overall budget shows compensation and benefits at 55% of total expenditures, it's illuminating to see how our staff members actually distribute their time and efforts across different areas of our work. Canonical responsibilities account for the largest portion of staff allocation at 28.6%, reflecting the substantial administrative and coordinating work required to fulfill our obligations to the Episcopal Church and maintain our diocesan governance structures. Congregations and clergy support represents 23.7% of staff time, underscoring our commitment to walking alongside our parishes and clergy through transitions, formation, and ongoing ministry and administration to include the centralized payroll program. Faith Formation receives 20.1% of staff allocation, supporting our youth programs, Camp Bishopswood, and educational initiatives across the diocese. Justice and Outreach Ministries receive 15.6% of staff time, enabling our work in racial justice, climate advocacy, and community partnerships. And finally, 12.1% of staff allocation supports the operation and maintenance of the Loring House, our diocesan center. So this breakdown illustrates the multifaceted nature of our staff's work and demonstrates that while individual staff members may have primary responsibilities, they contribute their time and talents across multiple dimensions of diocesan ministry, maximizing the value and impact of our personnel investments. As we consider this budget, we give thanks for the faithful stewardship and generosity of our congregations and their members throughout the diocese. Our investments with the trustees of diocesan funds continue to provide strong support for our missional priorities discerned through our mission action plan. Our diocesan staff serve with dedication and excellence, providing exceptional value to the mission and ministry of the diocese. By maintaining a balanced budget, we are exercising prudent financial stewardship that ensures resources will be available for future ministry. This budget positions us to respond faithfully to God's call while remaining fiscally responsible to those who have entrusted us with these resources. And we're happy to answer any questions you may have.
Ken and Penny, you're muted.
I thanked Sherry, the finance director, and I asked people to use the raised hand function so that we can see that they have questions. It's hard to look through this many people. We are not seeing any questions.
John Arison?
Hi, thank you. I did finally see the diocesan trustees report that came out yesterday, but it refers to an attachment which is not attached. Can you make sure that that attachment is included?
Yes.
Thank you.
And John, you will find that on the trustees page of our website, and I can give you that direct link.
I can get to that, but I thought that for the
Yes.
for the purposes of all of the other convention delegates, that they should have easy access to that information.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Victor, I'm not quite sure of your question in the chat.
Each congregation has their own outreach, or bigger churches have outreach programs. Is the funding for the outreach, is that diocese only, or is that churches contributing to, like the whole congregation? Because I know, like, for example, all of St. Paul's Episcopal Church Christmas fair money goes to outreach. And do they send some to the diocese and that makes up that, or is that all the churches outreach?
So the outreach that we have in this budget is for the diocese only. It's the money that we expend towards outreach. So if a congregation applies for a grant and receives it, we supply them with funds to help with that program.
And the other question I was trying to ask was, I noticed in the formation for budget, it goes from youths to adults. And I've mentioned this many times, I don't see people my age in church really, especially up here. And I was wondering if there maybe a formation of young adults in between to get the 40-year-olds to come. I really want other people my age in church with me sometimes.
I would ask Emily Keniston, our faith formation director, to answer that question.
Yeah, I'll waiting for the correct time too. But I think maybe a young adult to carry them into adults formation to get more people. Because yeah, thank you.
Is it helpful if I respond just a bit? Victor,
Yes.
I would love to have a conversation with you, and I gather you'll be at convention, so that would be a great time to do that. Our formation programs in the diocese are lifelong, so all of our programming is aimed at lifelong Christian formation. So we do have programs for young children, elementary, middle, high school. We do have some campus and young adult groups, and we have lifelong learning beyond that. So I'd be happy to share more about that when we see one another.
Yeah, cause it was hard. I got into men's group when I turned 33, and that's when I was the only person in the churches, and now I'm the only 40-year-old in my church again.
All right. I don't see any other questions. I think Julian Sheffield, our treasurer and finance chair, may be on this call. And I'd like to also say thank you to her for all of this work and for leading the finance committee. And to Jay Boggs, who Sherry mentioned is our consultant for bookkeeping. And it is Cornerstone Franciscan Ministries. And he works a lot with the trustees currently. So you may have been in touch with him through that. And he will be at convention. So if anybody would like to meet or speak to him and hear more about his role as a consultant with our finances, please find him. And moving on. Thank you, Sherry. That was great. We are going to break out into area meeting rooms to hold elections for lay representatives to diocesan council. You'll be led in each room by a staff person. There is only one nominee in each of the areas except for Southern Gateway, where there's two, and there is none in Presumpscot. But we will still break you out and you can all say hello to each other. Some people are not going to move when this happens. You've been loaded in according to how you registered, and some people aren't going to be able to get into the correct meeting room because they don't have an updated version of Zoom, or you've logged in with a different email, or you're here on a phone, not what you registered with. When that happens, just please put in the chat who you're voting for and what area. And Laura Lee will have some information that will help you find that. You put that in the chat and your vote will be tallied at the end. So let me get ready to put you into these rooms. And as soon as you're done voting, you can come back to the main session. You don't need to wait to be called back. And Tracy, I left you here in the main session with us because I thought you had already voted. Same for Ted.
Yeah, that's true.
Nancy, I need to put you in Southern Gateway. And Paul, I need to put you in Mid Coast if I can. And Julian, you have already voted. Is that correct?
Teresa, this is Tom Rock.
Oh, yes.
I got into Aurora Borealis, but I got bounced right out.
Okay. Um, yeah, and it says you're in there. It says you haven't joined. Let me see if I can do it for you.
Where am I?
Where are you? I see you. It will only let you move you to another. So maybe if I do that and you come back to the main session, you can get back into the other.
You
We'll see.
excited
So
those atoms too much, Tom. The atoms in the atmosphere that are the aurora borealis.
I guess.
Am I
So
in?
am I
Oh,
to join Acadie now?
Yeah, go ahead and do that.
You'd be a great addition.
And then try to leave, and I'll try to put you in the correct one.
Okay, I'm supposed to be in Acadie also.
I'm supposed to be in Aurora Borealis with Tom, actually, Father Thomas Rock.
The Northern Lights.
Okay, if you're not in the right room, I'll need you to put your vote in the chat at this point. I can't reassign you to a room. I'm sorry about that.
Or you can direct message either me or Teresa. Either way, whatever makes you feel most comfortable.
Hi, Teresa, I'm back.
Okay, I'll try. For some reason I
Thank
have
you.
options on your screen when I don't for other people, so I can see if I can get you there.
Nice job.
Laura Lee, do you think we should close breakout rooms yet or give them a few more minutes?
Maybe a couple more minutes.
Okay. Kind of lost track of time for a minute there.
That's okay.
It didn't send to the
Again, if you didn't end up in the right room, feel free to either direct message Teresa or I with your vote or in the chat. I think we can close them now.
Okay, excellent. I would do that.
I found it, Teresa, in case anybody's looking for me.
Excellent.
I got lost in the ether somewhere. It was kind of cool. But
You're back, Marge. You're back.
Thank God for March. Love March.
Oh,
I
Thank-
do, March. You're just a
Thank God for
godsend.
Marge in all kinds of ways.
oh my goodness. I needed this tonight. So thank you all.
She's a huge resource.
Okay, we've got one more second. That's the countdown.
The dog thanks you all.
Excellent. Okay, so as people make their way back in, I'll just repeat one more time. If you did not get a chance to vote in your correct area, please message us in chat, Laura Lee Raymond or Teresa Pinney, or you can put it in the main chat, or you can email me afterwards. All of these votes will be totaled with the votes from Tuesday. And the Reverend Lynn Rutledge of Diocesan Council, who is not running in this current election, will help me tally these and will announce the results at convention, which is next Saturday. Okay. So the rooms are closed and you are back, and we're going to move on to a whole bunch of resolutions. So thank you to our resolutions committee this year, chaired again by the very able Reverend Tracy Schaefer, and joined by Marge Kilkelly and the Reverend Tom Moosen, Betsy York, and we are, did I miss anybody, Tracy?
Well, I would just say a big thank you to yourself and to John Hennessy, who are members of our team
That's
also,
true.
and who we
That's
gain a lot
true,
of
John.
support.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And Tracy is going to walk us through the 9 resolutions that we have.
Okay. And if you pulled your packages for convention very early, you would have seen that there were 10 resolutions, but one's been withdrawn from the Council on Indian Relations. So at this point, that will not be before us at this point. What I would just say is keep your eyes and ears peeled for any updated package content since we're a few days out from convention, and part of why we have the pre-convention meetings is to gain feedback and ideas from all of you, give the authors of the resolution a time to respond and contemplate that, and then issue any revisions. There have been a couple already, so we'll call those out briefly. We have 9 this year, as Teresa said, and the first 5 are administrative, organization, and kind of bookkeeping types of resolutions that we're doing to make sure that we are in compliance with our canons and the rules of the church, and also that our current practices are reflected in the canons. So the first 2 are familiar to those of us who have been at convention before. They come before us every year, and it is a resolution number 3 for the minimum lay compensation and resolution 4 for minimum compensation for priests. What you'll note in both resolutions in terms of the body is that there is no change to the proposed rates or structure of the compensation that's listed there. In the explanation, in the advice section, the resolution submitters, and we do thank all the submitters this year, have once again pointed out the importance of paying attention to COLA as you set your individual compensation rates that at least meet the minimum. The COLA this year, due to the government shutdown, will not be available until October 24th. So it's probable that we may not have that in the material we may not, but right now they're projecting 2.7. So Teresa, Lynn will be looking at that alongside Julian. But those are the two compensation package resolutions. The other three items, we're not going to talk through a lot tonight at all, but just to give you an update, there is an update to Canon 18, which is our business practice, spelling out our business practices in our canons. And there are three changes. The most important one is, in the most I guess meaty one, is that we are calling for an inclusion in our general practices to underscore that we should not be investing of funds of any kind in cryptocurrency, NFTs, etc. This is an instruction for our committees and our diocesan office and our parishes. The trustees sit outside of this, but we're taking some guidance from their practices, and we're pushing that out to the rest of us, that if local groups and investors want to make those kinds of investments, that they do so with guidance from the finance committee first. They get thoughts about that, and then continue their thought process. The other two items are more staff and organizational related. The resolution 6 is naming the treasurer of the diocese as the finance chair, and thus the finance chair is the term finance chair is being taken out of the canon of the diocesan council. So this is again illustrating how we're currently organized. The treasurer is acting as the finance chair, and so we want to update that paperwork. Resolution 7 tries to drive parity among our diocesan officers. Currently, the diocesan council is fortunate to have the treasurer as a member, as mentioned, of the diocesan council, and they're a voting member. This resolution number 7 seeks to do that with our secretary of the diocese. So the secretary of the diocese, if this were approved, would become a member and a voting member of our diocesan council. So those are our 5 resolutions speaking to our house order, keeping our house in order. Then we have some other resolutions to consider. And these are our social justice and ministry types of resolutions. Every year we're blessed to be thinking about our ministry. We're changing, the world is changing, and so how are we responding to that? Our first resolution is calling for us to give some attention and time to foster care in Maine. And I will just invite briefly Reverend Matthew Simpson Deacon to speak to this, as he has submitted this for us.
Thank you. This resolution was sponsored by the Church of St. Mary in Falmouth and myself. Main reason is to bring up this issue, which is a particular main issue. Unfortunately, we rank either the top or one of the top states in rates of child abuse and neglect in the nation. And this has our system in crisis. I'm a resource parent. Just like last Tuesday, I got another email for desperate need for 17 children in Cumberland County alone. In the chat, I do have a link to the Heart Gallery, and I think there's a picture somewhere, and the other link of, thank you, that's awesome. This is data there, and you continue to go to the Family for Me, they'll have this map continually updated on the amount of kids in care per county. It's so bad that kids are being in hotel rooms. They have to, there's not even homes for them. So basically, purpose of this is to lift this up as this is a problem, and how are we as the church going to address it. The ask is for one liturgical year at diocesan events, we'll be praying for children in foster care and those caring for them. And then each church in their own context will discern how they can address this issue. There's no necessary requirement. I imagine I'll be the contact person on this with diocesan council. But if you have any questions, please let me know. And if you go into the background, it has the data, the government data on Maine not doing well in this area. So thank you.
Does anybody have any comments or questions for Matt on this resolution?
Could you put up that map again of Maine and how many? Thank you.
And real quick, on a personal note, my office is right by OCFS, so I get to see the kids in the holding tank, as it were, waiting for homes. And yeah, last week I think there was an 18-month-old all bruised up, like walking towards me. So it is in all fairness, does strike close to home. We are adopting out of foster care currently as well, but I see these kids, and it is heart-wrenching. So thank you for your time.
Thank you, Matt. I appreciate that. We were trying to identify in our last call how bad this problem is. And it's interesting. I went out to do some research, and it is very hard to get a 1 through N in terms of the 1 through 50 states and who's the worst and who's not. But we can say with assurance around the data that is online that we are in the top 50 percentile of per capita children in foster care. So it's a dire need, Matt, that you're speaking to, and it's good to have this in front of us to consider. Does anyone else have any comments? Okay. Thank you, Matt. The next item we have is something that a few of us have heard about before, and that is having a chance to vote on the birthing of a new ministry as part of our diocesan footprint. We have resolution number 8, establishing a Walking Together diocesan ministry. And as it says, we are opening, the submitters want to establish a new social justice focus for those that are disenfranchised at this point, focusing on our most vulnerable, in particular in our social and cultural context. We know immigrants, LGBTQ+, and others are impacted. In our last meeting, we talked a little bit about making sure that we were thinking about unhoused. And you'll notice in the resolution body, it says others, and it would be for the committee to flesh this out once approved. And if approved, to see what exactly the focus would all include. But I do want to say there's a spirit among the submitters to make sure that we're not excluding anybody here, and that if we feel like the unhoused need attention or what have you, they would be willing to entertain that. I think Sam is on with us tonight. And Sam, do you want to say anything about that?
Sure. Good evening, everyone. This came about at your cathedral because our volunteers who come from a number of parishes in the Portland area, in our 2 main outreach ministries, that is St. Elizabeth's Jubilee Center, Essential Center, and our food pantry, those volunteers serve hundreds of people every week. And the number is probably close to 500 a week. And they are in very close contact with people who are in dire need of services, whether it be food or essentials for living. And a good fraction of those people are immigrants. A good fraction of them are unhoused. And So the genesis of this resolution really came about through our volunteers recognizing that our faith calls us to do everything we can to be supportive of these people, to draw them into us, to bring them into part of a caring, loving community and a caring, loving Episcopal Diocese of Maine. So if there are questions, I'd love to have them.
Okay.
See Michael Lowe with a hand up.
Yes, Sam, I was wondering when you mentioned the groups that we would be assisting. I would say just let's not forget those who live in poverty as well, or even the minorities who've lived here in the state in Maine for years, because everyone's at much more risk these days than they have been in many years. And I think we should make sure that they're under our wing as well.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, in this resolution, that other packs a real punch and gives us that latitude to have these further conversations when the committee gets rolling and we hear good information coming out from the dialogue, etc. Anybody else have a comment or question for Sam?
I
Victor.
I was wondering, it said immigrants, but it's definitely immigrants from all faiths too, right? It doesn't have to just be a Christian immigrant. It can be a Muslim immigrant or someone too, that because they used to be like Seeds. There used to be a group that tried to get off of welcoming all faiths, and that was Seeds of Abraham. And I don't want to leave any immigrant out of this just because I was hoping it's all walks of all lives.
It is absolutely.
Excellent.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Good question. Did we have another comment or question? I thought I heard two people. No? Okay. Hearing no other questions, then let's press on to our other two resolutions. This is taking us out of our church structure and looking more so at the ballot this November here in the state of Maine. Resolution number 10 is presented by Sarah tonight, and this is on preserving voter access. It's question number 1 on our ballot this year. It's a citizen initiative and one that, as we said Tuesday night at our first pre-convention forum, please encourage everybody to read the entire ballot this year and to get to ballot language before you vote on this resolution, because there's been some shorthand in the advertising of this resolution. So we want to be fully informed regardless of how we feel about it. Sarah, do you want to speak to this?
Yes. Eleanor Roberts and I wrote this resolution under the auspices of the Public Policy and Environmental Action Team of St. Luke's Cathedral. And this referendum is about a lot more, as Tracy said, than just presenting an ID. It's really a solution to a problem that does not exist. Maine already has one of the most secure voting systems. This bill would make changes in 28 sections of Maine voting law, some quite technical, and it would be the second strictest in the country. The impact of this bill would be to disenfranchise the elderly, in particular, the elderly, the disabled, rural populations, members of tribal nations, and students by making it extraordinarily difficult to vote by absentee ballot. And also it restricts the types of ID that are acceptable. More than 40% of Mainers used absentee voting this last election, 62% of those over the age of 65. And finally, the text of this bill was provided by an out-of-state lobbying organization. And if you read the bill carefully and look at Maine voting law, some things don't even really apply. So This resolution urges Episcopalians to vote no on question 1.
And by voting no, we'd be preserving our existing voting legislation, correct? Voting
Correct.
practices. Okay. Anybody have any questions or comments on this? Think you'll find a lot of discussion in this as voting day comes upon us. And I know for myself, when I looked at the body of the resolution, initially I said to Marge, gee whiz, Marge, do we need to have all of these statements about preserving this and that and whatever? And she said, oh yeah, you do, because that's the legislation at hand. You know, so these basically, if you don't have access to the legislation right now, the ballot, if you look at lines 4 through 18, this is the antithesis of what they're asking for. In other words, we're trying to, you know, this is written to preserve our current practices of allowing absentee voting and the ways we go about accessing that and requesting it. So I was schooled on that, and I'm glad to have that awareness as an individual. Thank you, team, for doing this work to keep us posted on these changes.
And
Tracy, we have two
regardless-
questions.
Sure.
One from Brian Butler and then followed by Marge Kilkelly.
Oh, thank you, guys.
Like the fact.
My views.
No, just go ahead and ask your question.
Oh.
You're unmuted.
It's Lyle Blend. I'm actually sitting with Brian Butler for now. But I was actually going to say, if you vote for if you vote for this on election day, the other thing is it will disenfranchise all of those people who are poor as well. Because the fact is people would have to get a real ID as well, which is very expensive. And people are unable to do that in a lot of Maine, or they have to get another form of ID. And for a lot of people, that's completely impossible for them in this state. And they don't have the money to go and get these IDs that people are looking to have them obtain. So thank you.
Thank you. Marge?
Just as a follow-up to that, there is a provision in this that requires the state to provide ID at no cost. Just take a look at that section, and if you can't find it, let me know, because we want to make sure that all of the arguments that we're using, you know, can be fully supported. One of the things that I really liked about this resolution, and I encourage people to share it widely, is that it's very positively written and it is very specifically written. And the entire premise of the effort, the citizen initiated effort, was voter ID. And there's, you know, I think the numbers I've seen are like 76% of the people in the state think that voter ID is fine. What they have not done is to understand all of those other things that are in there. So this particular resolution, I think, is one that, you know, folks should really carry around and share it with people when you talk to them and they say, well, you know, what's the problem? I've got an ID. But there are very serious problems. And so, you know, I just really want to applaud the people that drafted this in terms of creating something that can be a document that we can use as this campaign unfolds.
Thank you, Marge. Yeah, we do want a balanced view and all points of thought on this. And there will be time at convention to call pro and con on each side of these resolutions too. I will say this, I wish I wish people promoting this would have included the absentee voting conversation more frankly, because I'm starting to get mail and information that says, you know, nearly 50% of Mainers rely on absentee voting. And so we have to consider that piece. And so again, that's in the resolution. Please give it consideration as we go to floor. Okay. Anybody else? We're right in the thick of things, Episcopal Church. I just love us. Okay.
Yeah.
The second thing on our
Tracy?
ballots. Oh yeah, is there another comment?
Boy, I can't seem to get my hand to go up, my
Ooh,
digital hand.
okay.
When we talk about this in our parishes, I really support this. And I think it's really well written. I think it would be helpful in wherever we talk about it, that we have the wording of the legislation itself. And a copy of that, I've been meaning to go down to our town hall.
Yeah. Actually, yeah, Teresa, I sent you a copy of the absentee ballot and with these two questions, and I'm hoping we can get that in our packets soon, even if you have to write sample across it or what have you, but that's a great point, because it does really bring it home quickly what we're voting on when we read the language.
The other thing I was going
Is
to ask.
there a link in the brief explanation? That's what I was trying to find as you spoke. I'm sorry. I felt like there was a link, but we can definitely add one.
Yeah, I think I sent it last night or the night, Tuesday night or something. So let's look for that. Okay.
Yeah, I think that is up to the proposers of the resolution to add.
Sure,
Yeah.
sure.
I did not realize that it costs money to have that, whatchamacallit, on our driver's license, because I've had it on there for years and never paid for it.
Oh,
Okay. All right.
I
Any other-
I think I can answer that. This is for people who don't have or can't get a driver's license. They would need a different state-sponsored photo ID. And so it's separate from that, for people who have stopped driving, have never driven, whatever, this would be a separate ID.
I hear you. Okay.
John Hennessy, I just saw you post something. Was that the ballot language?
Yes, it was, Tracy.
Okay. So those of you who are on tonight, you can avail yourself of that link and see and print the ballot language. Okay, the last item on the ballot, and accordingly we have a resolution addressing it, is Resolution 2. The resolution is written to support voting yes on question 2, the Extreme Risk Protection Order referendum. And Reverend Ben Cook is here with us, who will speak to this.
Thank you. Yes, this resolution is to encourage folks to vote yes in favor of creating what's described as a red flag law. They're intended to help individuals who are worried or concerned about family members, acquaintances, people they have encounters with, to be able to who they have a relationship with, to be able to identify that they are not safe, and to petition a court to be able to hold their guns temporarily while that is adjudicated and discovered if they are in fact safe or not safe. At the moment, homicide rates with guns are on the decline in the US, but suicide rates with firearms are on the rise, as are mass shootings and political assassinations. Many of the individuals who commit those kind of gun crimes who are not mentally well, and there are warning signs that people are aware of, but don't necessarily have the tools to be able to take action. Maine does have good gun safety laws, but this would be an additional tool that would enable people to help keep their loved ones safe and help protect our communities from the risk of active shooter situations and the continued rise of suicide in our community. So yeah, this just encourages Episcopalians to vote yes on 2.
Okay. Thank you, Ben. Anybody have questions or comments on this? I see a hand here for Lael. It's hard for me to see these, but
Yeah. Ben, it's just a simple thing. The title says Extreme Risk Prevention Order Referendum, and it talks about the risk protection order on the ballot. Is that just a typo in our document? And if so, can we fix that for the convention?
I would guess that that is a typo, and I'm happy to say we should change that. Thank you, Lael.
Sure.
yeah, thank you for that. Any other questions, comments?
There are
Oh, we
two.
have several too. Yeah, Victor?
Yeah, I was just wondering, uh, uh, if this passes the referendum number 2, is it going to be strongly enforced? Because I remember in 2016, or something, the president made a order and it didn't go through. States had the right to vote on the referendum, and we voted, and the state of Maine voted down to make stronger gun laws. And I haven't followed them that often, but I would like to see it enforced that they can actually, because look at Carr, the incident there where they should taking his rifles away. All his friends were telling them take his rifle away.
Well, that's so Maine already has some pretty strong what's described as yellow flag rules, which enable you to remove firearms from people if there's things like restraint or protection from abuse orders, those kind of things in place. But that has to go through a court and takes time. The red flag laws are intended to enable family members who see and friends who see a risk to report that and be able to take speedy action, because that time difference is the difference between someone's guns being removed and them being able to get the help they need and a mass shooting. That's what this law is.
I didn't want to see it to take 2 or 3 months and something to happen. I want this. I want to see drastic gun charge, even more than what anyone says. But yeah, thank you.
Yeah, so that's a good point, that this is a citizens initiative here in the state of Maine. We can directly appeal to have something put on the ballot. That's how this got to our attention for November. And it would be incumbent upon our legislature, if this passes, to put those details into the law. Right now, the language is asking or telling us that it would be allowing the courts to temporarily prohibit based on what Ben was saying. So we still would be going through the courts. Brian?
Lyle, you have
Oh. I see
Lyle,
somebody.
you're muted.
Sorry.
Sorry. Oh, there you
trying
are.
to figure out how to unmute.
I know.
Okay. This would allow family members. Typically, the red flag law does not allow friends to do things. We have a yellow flag law right now, which allows doctors, therapists, other people who are associated to make a call and allow guns to be secured or firearms to be secured from someone if they have knowledge that the person is not safe with the weapons. I actually am not comfortable as a therapist with the red flag law. So if anybody has any interest in understanding some of the other sides, I would be happy to discuss it. I am not going to sway someone one way or the other should they wish to vote for it.
Thank you, Lyle. And perhaps you'll speak at convention or offer some additional feedback.
I would like to meet Miss Butler there, because I've been in mental health for 20 years and I don't even want to own a firearm, but it's like I'm the youngest Boy Scout to get his rifleman badge at the same time. And I like the yellow flag. Sorry, that's what I was getting at. I like when therapists can take away. I support that, because the therapists, you should have a good relation with them. I'm sorry to get off topic, but I would like to meet Miss Butler and talk about those laws.
Thank you, Victor. We have two more questions. Edward Perka, followed by Philip Walsh.
Yeah, just a clarification of who actually can report under this red flag law. Is it just family members who can report, or is it people like therapists, counselors? And how far does that go? I mean, can friends express that concern? Does that fall under the red flag law? So is it, I guess the question is it limited to a certain cohort who can actually make this report or expression of concern?
What's on the ballot?
It's specific on the ballot language.
Yeah.
The ballot reads, do you want to allow courts to temporarily prohibit a person from having dangerous weapons if law enforcement, family, or household members show that the person poses a significant danger of causing physical injury to themselves or others? So household members, law enforcement, family.
Great, thank you.
Another question.
Actually, Phil does not have a question. That was an accident.
Okay. All right. If there's no other comments, questions, we can turn our resolution time back in to the agenda at large. Thank you, all the submitters. Appreciate the time and effort for putting these things forward for consideration.
Thank you,
My
Deacon
goodness, thank
Schaefer.
you.
You are a love, and you are a professional, and you are a blessing to the church. Thank you so much.
Really, that was quite wonderful. Thank you, everyone. So we have some time in this meeting, we didn't in the last one, to go over the rules of order with our Chancellor, Gordon Geyer. So Gordon, are you here, and can you unmute yourself?
Am I unmuted?
You are unmuted.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, and I'm definitely here. Thank you, Teresa. And the fact that we have some extra time, dear Lord, strike me dead if I start talking and use up all that time for a task that really should take no more than about 5 minutes. But we have to have rules of order in a convention. We all know that. And you'll be asked to vote on these rules of order at the start of the convention when we assemble in Bangor. All I intend to do is to sort of highlight a couple of key parts of them. I think it'll be part of, actually, I can't remember whether we vote separately on the rules of order or whether that's part of the consent calendar, but in any event, we do need to have them in place. And of course, behind all of this is overall perspective is Robert's rules of order. That's what we fall back on whenever there's a real problem. I think our rules are, unlike some rules that you conventions where you've been, and there's some things that we just really try not to have happen. And that is nominations from the floor. We just have experience that there's no chance to do vetting in that instance, and we may very well wind up with folks who are, eager and willing to serve and good people, but don't have the particular skill set needed for that job. So, rule number 2 is nominations from the floor are ruled out of order flat, unless the chair, and the chair is the bishop, in his own discretion, determines that nomination would be necessary. A situation like that would be if there simply isn't anybody proposed for election for a particular office, and then he may open the floor to nominations at that point. It's one thing to be aware of. Next, on all elections, we do a majority vote, election by majority vote for the first 2 elections, but if no one has a majority and we go to a third election, then a plurality will suffice. So 51% in the first round, 51% in the second round to win the office. But if you don't have that, by the time we get to the third round, then whoever simply has the most votes. By the way, we've had these rules in place for a very long time. Everybody who wants to speak should stand, and please remember to identify yourself by name and by congregation. That's very important. We're a large group and we need to get to know each other and where we're coming from. Here's an interesting thing, rule number 7. All delegates are expected to be there. It seems like duh, but in fact, sometimes people forget, sometimes people wander, but when we're in session, you need to be on the floor as a delegate. And here's the the sort of real catch part of it. No abstaining vote will be accepted. Part of the duty of being a delegate is that you attend and you vote. And I think that's an excellent requirement. It can be a pain sometimes. A lot of times people would rather take a pass on an issue. It's not allowed. You have to vote. Just to be aware that if there are a couple of resolutions in there to change the canons, peculiarity of our process is that if we're changing the canon, that's an instance where we have to vote by orders, and it requires a majority of the clerical order, that's roughly speaking priests and deacons, and also a separate majority of the lay order, and that's kind of everybody else. And that requirement has been with us since for as long as I've been coming to conventions, which is a while. It's kind of written in there. The other peculiarity doesn't come up this year, but if you ever want to amend our Constitution, that takes 2 years. And the amendment to the Constitution has to come up in year number 1 and be approved, and then has to come back in precisely the same 4 in year number 2 and be approved again. Then we get a change to our Constitution. That's not relevant for this year. Little inside baseball talk. Finally, on resolutions, again, on this idea of generally discouraging action from the floor just to keep an orderly and efficient convention, rule number 12 says, no new resolutions from the floor shall be presented. That's why we're having this big and very effective, I think, pre-convention resolution process, and a deadline and a resolutions committee and so on. So no fresh resolutions from the floor unless by special permission with a 2/3 vote of the floor. So if you've got something that you want to bring to the floor, you can do it, but you'll have to have 2/3 of those voting to give permission even to bring the resolution to the floor if it hasn't gone through the resolution process that we're just basically finishing tonight. And those are the points I wanted to bring to your attention. And I'll be there and always available to answer any questions that come up.
Thank you, Gordon. That was quick. Are you going to make it to choir practice?
If you give me leave, that only if you let me go.
Yes,
we do. It is 7 o'clock.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Look forward to seeing you on Saturday.
Sure.
And I have some time now to walk us through the voting process. I will share my screen. All right, so this is the diocesan website. I hope everyone knows this. And I'm going to go to resources first. And go to convention. I'll just click on the topic. And I'm going to pull up voting procedures. And I encourage you all to read through these. Everything that I say tonight will be available to you in an email that comes out next Thursday. It'll have all the updated documents, and we'll have all of this information. So for this convention, it's going to be very similar to last year's. We're going to vote in 2 ways. So we're going to have red and green voting cards. They'll be printed with yes and no so that our colorblind people among us will know what they are. Also on that card will be instructions on how to do your online voting. So we are asking you again to come with a device if you have one, an iPhone, a tablet, a laptop, or you can use a neighbor's phone, tablet, or laptop. It doesn't have to be your own device, and there will be plenty of time to do that. Or we will have devices at the back of the ballroom where we're set up for a business session. So, and staff can walk you through it, and they'll be available to assist you. So a lot of the votes, you will hear the chair say, all in favor, all opposed, raise your cards. In that case, you can just use the red and green cards. And then at the end of our first business session, we'll go to the online ballot. And that's when you'll follow the instructions on your card, which will be a QR code that you can scan that takes you to a web page. You'll also see the printed web address for that page on the card. So you could just type it in if you wanted to, and it will also be displayed on the screens. On your card that won't be displayed on the screen or spoken by us is the passcode that you will need. And that's how we'll protect our election from people that are watching a live stream or just walking by the Cross Insurance Center and want to get involved from voting. So you'll have all that information right there. If you have any problems at all, we'll be taking a break and you can go to the back of the room and staff can assist you. So let me show you what will happen when you get to this test. This is a test page, so this obviously will not be the page. But once you scan your QR code or go to that URL, you'll find this page. You'll type in your passcode. And then you'll have a link to a test ballot. You'll click on this. You're not a test ballot. You'll have a link to a ballot. You'll click on this and you can fill it out. We'll ask for your email address and we'll ask whether you're clergy or lay. This will help us vote by orders for the canonical amendment resolutions that Gordon just mentioned. So we'll vote for 5 of 6 nominees for trustees. You may only select 5. Your check boxes, let me see. I'm just going to pick this first 5. Please know that I am not really voting for these people. And then you're going to say, yep, this is all right, and submit your form. Oh, look, I didn't put in my address. I'm just going to go like that. Oh, look, I didn't put in my address right.
Ken and Penny, you're the best.
Oh, no, what did I do? Oh, I've already voted in this election. So each submission has to have a unique value, and I've put in this email address twice, so it's not going to let me vote. So that's how that part will be protected. Otherwise, what would have come up here is a thank you for your submission kind of vote. And I think that's all I need to show you right now. Like I said, please find these and read through them. If you have any questions, this will tell you about our electing committee and how we'll tally the results and when you'll hear them. And there'll be more information in the agenda too. So thank you, everyone.
Ken and Penny, we have a couple of questions.
Excellent.
First, Sarah Brake and then Victor. Sarah?
Hi, Sarah.
How do we know what our password is?
Oh, it will be printed on the card. It's not unique to you. It's the same one for every delegate and every clergy person. It's just that I can't put it on the screens because there's a live stream. And I can't speak it because there's a live stream.
Right. Thank you.
Victor.
I didn't understand the word that you said in between defining our votes as lay ministry or clergy. I know I'm going to be lay ministry. Does clergy outweigh if there's like a certain...
No, it's just that according to our canons, if you have a resolution and it's going to amend a canon, make a change to it, then you have to vote by orders. So we need to know whether you're clergy or lay in order to count that up and know that we have a majority in each one.
I didn't know if it was like block voting or not, where...
I don't think I know what block voting is, so you'll have to explain that to me.
Actually, Victor, we look forward to hearing from you another time about that. I'm going to move us on to see if there are any other questions about voting procedures. I don't see any other hands being raised either electronically or in real time. Ken and Penny, there's a question in the chat about whether, what do we do about people who may not have email addresses?
Everyone does need to have an email address. I can provide one if you don't, but at the time that people were certified, you were asked on the certificate, all priests in charge and senior wardens, to provide an email address.
Right.
And we provide all of the information electronically, so you need one.
I will ask the pastor and rector at Emmanuel in Augusta to take this offline and to email Ken and Penny directly. Thank you very much. John Arison from St. Brendan in Deer Isle.
Hi there. Just quickly, I was just looking at the website for the diocesan convention, and I did not see what you just presented to us of voting rules. And I think that that would be a good addition to the website.
I can show you where you can find it. You go to the convention page, which Laura Lee has in the chat. I think she could put it in the chat, and you scroll down, and you'll see a list of other documents that you can click on. It'll be the first one. Yeah. But we will make sure that we put that on the forefront of that email that goes out so that you know where to find it. Thank you, John.
Thank you, John. You are muted. I just want to make sure that you're covered. If not, check the chat. There are 2 links in the chat that will also help you. John, you're muted. Are there things you want us to hear from you?
I'm sorry, somehow I was.
Are you all set, John? Great. Wonderful.
I have a question.
Thank you.
Briefly, Teresa, if somebody has multiple emails, such as myself, who's the best person to contact to validate what address the diocese
You don't need to validate your address. You just need to you just need to use a unique email address. That's a good question.
Oh, okay. So I could use any email address. I can just,
Yeah.
okay. Thank you. That's an important clarification.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks.
Friends,
Well
are there
done.
any other questions about voting procedures? Thank you so much, Ken and Penny. That's all really helpful. I want to remind everybody that there is plenty of time to be in touch with us if you have questions after tonight. Remember that you will receive a very thorough email on Thursday in preparation for our time at the Cross Center in Bangor. But we are here throughout the weekend and of course, throughout all of next week. I'm aware that we are coming up to 7 o'clock, and the Liturgical Commission has prepared our worship this evening. Before we move to worship, is there any other business that needs to come before us tonight? Please give a round of applause to your diocesan staff who have worked like dogs and full of faith and love to get ready, not just for tonight, but also for Saturday. We don't do this without you. And so while I'm really grateful for your affirmation of us, especially those who support me and make me laugh and make me cry and make me think and make me faithful, never forget that this is actually about you and about our faith communities and the way in which you proclaim the gospel in your own lives and in your own context. We do this together, and that's true all the time. It's especially true right now. Before we, I don't see any other questions of a business nature. I'm going to ask Susan Axelrod to get ready to spotlight a person who is here, whose name is Nancy Dever. Nancy, I would love us to see you because the Reverend Dr. Nancy Dever will be ordained transitional deacon on Sunday afternoon at 4 o'clock at St. George's in York Harbor. I saw Nancy here earlier. Is she still here? Nancy, are you still here? Unmute yourself and say hello, but maybe you've already left. Anyway, please pray for Nancy Dever and the people at St. George's York Harbor. Nancy will be ordained at 4 o'clock on Sunday. And then we'll say this on Saturday at convention. Myrna Kuntz, who is transitional deacon at St. Paul's in Brunswick, will be ordained priest on the 15th of November at St. Luke's Cathedral. You all are invited to both of those. I'm going to turn things over to the Reverend John Balicki, a rector at St. Luke's in Wilton, who will lead us in worship.
Thank you, Bishop. It's my pleasure to lead you all in worship. Thank you, Susan. There we go. That's what I am looking for. So I am going to be the officiant. Lisa Lindsay from St. Luke's in Wilton is going to be the responder on your behalf. And the Reverend Tim Walmer is going to do the reading. So Lisa, you can unmute yourself now, and Tim, when the appropriate time comes. For everybody else, I'm going to invite you with your mics muted to respond. You may respond if you wish to wherever there is in italics. So we prepared a short early evening devotion from the Enriching Our Worship resource. So let us pray together. And now, Bishop, I'm assuming you are going to do the final blessing for us.
I would be glad to do that. Thank you.
Stay with us, Christ, for it is evening.
Make your church bright with your radiance.
Light of the world, in grace and beauty, mirror of God's eternal face, transparent flame of love's free duty, you bring salvation to our race. Now, as we see the lights of evening, we raise our voice in hymns of praise. Worthy are you of endless blessing, Sun of our night, Lamp of our days. Yours is the day, O God, yours also the night. You established the moon and the sun. Behold now, bless the Lord, all you servants of the Lord.
You that stand by night in the house of the Lord.
Lift up your hands in the holy place and bless the Lord.
The Lord who made heaven and earth, bless you out of Zion. Yours is the day, O God, yours also the night. You established the moon and the sun.
A reading from 2 Corinthians. For we do not proclaim ourselves, we proclaim Jesus Christ as Lord, and ourselves as your slaves for Jesus' sake. For it is the same God who said, light will shine out of darkness, who has shone in our hearts to give the light of the knowledge of the glory of God in the face of Christ. Hear what the Spirit is saying to the churches.
Thanks be to God.
A song of our true nature. Christ revealed our frailty and our falling,
our trespasses and our humiliations.
Christ also revealed his blessed power,
his blessed wisdom and love.
He protects us as tenderly and as sweetly when we are in greatest need.
He raises us in spirit and turns everything to glory and joy without ending.
God is the ground and the substance, the very essence of nature.
God is the true Father and Mother of natures.
We are all bound to God by nature.
And we are all bound to God by grace.
And this grace is for all the world.
Because it is our precious Mother, Christ.
For this fair nature was prepared by Christ for the honor and nobility of all.
And for the joy and bliss of salvation.
Hear our prayers, O Christ our God.
Hear us, O Christ.
Govern and direct your holy church, fill it with love and truth, and grant it that unity which is your will.
Hear us, O Christ.
Give us boldness to preach the gospel in all the world, and to make disciples of all the nations.
Hear us, O Christ.
Enlighten your bishops, priests, and deacons, especially those in the Diocese of Maine, with knowledge and understanding, that by their teaching and their lives they may proclaim your word.
Hear us, O Christ.
Give your people grace to witness to your word and bring forth the Spirit, the fruit of your Spirit.
Hear us, O Christ.
Live without fear. Your Creator has made you holy, has always protected you, and loves you as a mother. Go in peace to follow the good road, and may God's blessing be with you now and always. Amen. I'd like now to call upon, thank you so much, John and Lisa and Tim, and to all of you who planned tonight's worship. I'd like now to call upon Emily Keniston, Director of Faith Formation, who has a particular invitation to all of us that might be especially helpful if you are new to a Zoom in the Diocese of Maine.
Thank you, Bishop. Friends, we have developed a custom when we are logging off of meetings that gather each and every one of us across the diocese. When we log out, we come off mute and we say good night from, and then we say what town or community or city we are signing off from. It's a way to be together even in the online community that we are in tonight. So I invite you now. Thank you for coming. We've loved being with you. And I invite you now to come off mute and to say goodnight from wherever it is that you are signing off from. And we'll look forward to seeing you next week.
Good night
Good
from
night from
Belfast.
South
Night from
Leonard.
St. Peter.
Good night.
St. George.
Good night from Farmington.
From
Good night from
Southport.
Bath.
Good night from
Good night from
Rockford.
Warren.
From Marion Township.
Good night from Cape Elizabeth.
Good night
from
from
Kenny
Good night
Hall.
from South Portland.
Good
Good
night
night
from
from
Deer Isle.
Camden.
Good night
Night
from
from South
Old Town.
Harbor.
Pembroke.
South
Good night